Welcome to the GLF podcast. I have an amazing guest with me here today. This is the show where I have guests who share tremendous ideas, practical ideas that help you grow your law firm. Liz, welcome to the show. Tell us who you are and what it is that you do.
I am the attorney coach, and I work with law firms and individual attorneys on one very specific part of their practice, and that is converting perfect, ideal clients into happy paying clients who give reviews. And I do that in a very specific way. I take them through my rainmaking process and help them understand that today's consumers are nothing like they were 7, 8, 10 years ago. They're savvier, they're smarter, they're watching you, they're scrutinizing every word you say and how you make them feel. And if you don't know how to create those feelings in someone who's sitting in front of you, they head to your competition and they take their money with them.
Amazing. In other words, you are the dreaded word in the legal industry. You are a sales coach.
That's it.
Hi there. I have a small but really meaningful favor to ask you. I watch at the stats on our YouTube channel and Spotify channel, wherever most people listen and watch our podcast. And I see that over 80% of everybody who listens to it regularly is not a subscriber. I'm asking you to subscribe to this channel. And the reason for that is my mission and the mission of my team is to help as many small law firm owners to learn how to transform their law firms into better businesses, and so they in turn enjoy better lives. When you hit subscribe button, you tell these platforms that this is content worth listening, worth viewing, and they in turn will show it to many other small law firm owners and hopefully help me fulfill our mission of helping them create a better business and enjoy better lives. So would you please do me this favor? It would mean the world to me, and hit the subscribe button. And my promise to you is that I will continue to work hard at creating good content with practical ideas that help you and your teams grow better law firms. Thank you.
If you interact with clients, whether you're an attorney or a doctor or any other service provider, clearly you're in a sales position. Mm-hmm. It's your part-time thing within the grander thing that you do, but part of it is definitely selling. Again, a doctor, a lawyer, anyone who provides service and interacts with clients or patients for the first time is in a sales position, whether you like it or not. So I find through conversations with thousands of attorneys over the years that those who know how to sell make substantially more money without working a minute longer than the rest. And those who don't, those who are very apprehensive to developing this muscle, and we'll call it intake muscle or sales muscle, whatever you want to call it. It's just that you end up making substantially less money. Do you find it to be true with all of the clients that you have worked with? Do their income skyrocket?
Yeah, because if you're doing the marketing, you're getting the phone to ring, and someone's coming in to sit down and talk to an attorney about a problem they have. First of all, nobody sits down with a bankruptcy attorney or a personal injury attorney or divorce attorney unless they're looking for that, right? No one's that bored. So if you are sitting down with someone, but you can't convert them, you can't turn them into a potential or a paying client at some point, you're doing a lot of work for nothing. Mm-hmm. There are attorneys out there who understand the path and the process of having someone come to you in an emotional situation. They're not in a happy place. Most of the time, someone comes to visit an attorney. They're in trouble. They're ready to move through something. And if an attorney doesn't understand the sales process, call it the conversion process, the connection process, when they don't understand that there's a path, and I call it the red thread. It's like pulling the thread through a sweater. And doing it in such a way where someone starts to feel a connection with you and starts in their mind saying, I like this person. I like the way they're talking to me. I like the way they're talking about their services, but connecting it to me. I like the way they're interacting with me. They make me feel good. They make me feel important. If that's not happening in their brain, what they're thinking is, when is this person going to stop talking so I can go ahead to the competition? They will nod their head and say, thank you so much. You've been so helpful today. Really appreciate you sitting down with me. I'm going to let you know, or thanks a lot for your time. And what they're really saying to you is, you missed the mark, pal. Lady, you didn't hit the target. You did nothing to make me feel important. So I'm going to go ahead to your competition and I'm going to take my $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 with me. And it happens every day. So why not be your highest and best and the most efficient you can be in those moments when somebody's scrutinizing you and asking, can I see myself working with him or her in this situation?
Yeah, it's really interesting. So you work with intake specialists and you train them, and then
Yes.
you work with attorneys and you train them to be better at essentially what they already do. So the starting point, when they usually bring you aboard to help them improve on intake, improve their sales muscle or intake muscle, what is the typical conversion rate on what people would call good leads, actual interested prospects?
So it varies a little bit with the intake, because a lot of times I have firms that charge for a consultation. Some are free. So it's easy to get somebody to come into your office for a free consultation. So it can vary in the intake, but once they get into that consultation room, I don't care if it's free or there's a $99 fee attached to that. That's that make or break conversation. You did all the work. The marketing stopped the minute your phone rang.
Yep.
Done. Now the sales conversation begins, or the conversion conversation begins. Now they're sitting in your office. A lot of times the firms that hire me, they're at 25% close ratio. They're closing 25, maybe 30 if they're lucky.
On good leads, good
On
leads.
good
Not
leads.
all of leads, good leads.
Good leads, somebody who is seriously interested and open and ready to make a decision. Maybe not today, but maybe 3 weeks, 3 months, or maybe at the end of the year. But they're actively shopping for the right person to help them through that. And there is no reason 75% of those people should be leaving your firm and not do something. That's a lot of leads disappearing and a lot of money out of a law firm that should be going to your firm. So I help them figure out why people are leaving your firm, not hiring you, and never come back and ghost you once they're gone. If you did such a great job, why would somebody not take a phone call, not reply back to an email? Totally ghost you, says you didn't build trust.
Sure.
I didn't like you.
A healthy skeptic in me thinks that a percentage of those that walk out the door, whether it's a virtual door, you have an online consult or in-person consult, some of them choose not to buy services. They, more often than not, they choose not to buy services now. They will be buying it sometime down the road. Right? They will be consuming those legal services. It's just not now. That's also a decision. And then a healthy percentage of them just goes to the competition. After you work with the intake team and with the attorneys, what is the typical aim? What's the typical increase in their conversion rate from 25% to what?
To 50 to 60%.
Got it. So
sometimes more. I've had clients that went to 80% closing rates. 80%. That means almost everybody who comes in is saying yes. And it's so beautiful to watch, because it isn't a full dismantle of what they're doing. I don't go in there and take a hammer to everything they're doing.
Yep.
I show them the areas that matter the most. When you're speaking to someone, and the way you say things to someone is what opens them up to listen to you more. When you speak to them as just, I'm the attorney, you're the client, let me tell you about the process, here's how we work, here's my fees, and it just sounds like a checklist.
Yeah.
That's not enough to move someone into pulling out their credit card or checkbook.
Yep.
So I make sure I hit all those nuances and targets with the right language. How do you speak to someone in such a way where it feels like you're talking to them, not at them? There's a big difference in language when you talk to someone versus at them. The same way I'm going to talk to the next person who sits in your seat, and the next one, and the next one. Every consultation is different because the human being is different, but the process is the same. But you have to be able to understand what is going on in the brain of that legal consumer to truly understand how they make those decisions. And you have to answer the questions. Do I like you? Do I trust you? Do you make me feel important? Do you hear me? You've got to be able to convey that through your consultation for them to make you their first choice.
Sure. So Attorneys are some of the most skeptical people on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
They're listening to this, they're watching this, they're reading this, and they're thinking, that's not me. I'm really good at this. Or I'm good at this.
Yes.
Right? Because we can't see ourselves in the mirror when we talk to prospects. We
Yeah.
can't hear ourselves speak because we're in it.
Yeah.
I know that before we hit the record button, you said that you audit intake.
Yes.
Yes, and you actually secret shop the intake team. How do you get to audit the actual attorneys?
That's where the fun comes in. And first of all, you're right. They all say, oh, I'm pretty good at it. Yeah.
Pretty good.
People don't hire me because they can't afford me.
I've done this for 20 years.
Yep. And when they say they just can't afford me, no, you didn't show them the value you provide, and they use that excuse. So I usually work with someone on the inside. So when I'm secret shopping, I usually have one person on the inside, maybe the office manager or the intake manager, who helps me to create my persona. I use a fake name. I change my name on my Zoom screen. I used to do a lot of in-person secret shopping, but I don't do that. I can't fly all over the country doing that. So I do intake. I mean, I do a consultation like this on a Zoom call with my different name, a different scenario. They typically help me with the scenario. Sometimes I'm a very wealthy woman married to a very wealthy person, and they put me with an attorney who has a kind of a big ego, thinks they can close everyone, and I scrutinize that call. So they help me get on that Zoom call, and I take on the mindset, the persona, the energy, the emotion of someone either going through a divorce, wanting a bankruptcy, got hit by a FedEx car, and I'm in a wheelchair. I mean, I can act. I don't know where it came from, but I can do it. I can turn it on. I have 100% track record. No one has ever said, I knew you were a fake person. Why would they? They're just doing their job the way that they do it. So when an attorney finds out they've been secret shopped by me, and they'll say, oh, that lady's going to hire me. She really liked me. I could tell she's going to hire me. Then the managing partner or the person who's in on it says, she's not hiring you. We're hiring her. They're not always happy, but once I share with them the things you did well, the things where you missed the mark, you said things to me that you shouldn't say to someone who's in pain, or you forgot to do this, or when you were talking about money, you didn't build the value, or when you talked about your fees, you just landed them like a bomb. They didn't come at me in a soft way. When the consultation was over, you didn't do certain things that help close the deal even better and make someone feel confident. So at first they're like, oh, okay, yeah, I guess I could do better with that. They think they're rock stars until they realize they're just missing some nuances.
Mm-hmm.
They're not taught this. Oftentimes, Sasha, attorneys, law firms will call me and say, oh yeah, we just let them sit in on a couple of consultations with Bob or Mary, who've been doing this for 30 years. Sure. And they pick up the awful habits of Bob and Mary, and they think they're doing a great consultation. And they're missing the stuff that Bob and Mary were never taught, what the consumer needs today. And like I said, they're savvier. They're watching, they're listening, and they're checking boxes. And if they don't check all the boxes, that's when they leave and say, thanks so much. You've been so nice. And they ghost you forever. They are not,
somewhere else.
Yeah, they're good. They're
for whatever reason. It's very interesting. So I know that in the medical profession, when the stakes are high, like in oncology, oncologists go through sales training. They don't call it sales training.
No.
But it is sales training. They want the treatment acceptance rate, which is your conversion rate.
That's
to be
it.
as high as humanly possible. One, because it gives the patient supposedly a higher chance of surviving the cancer.
Right.
Two, it significantly boosts hospitals' top line or the revenue. So oncologists are trained in sales. They never call it sales, but that's exactly what it is. Attorneys, and this is usually not in small practices, but like hospitals, they will put you through the training. It's not optional.
Right.
I am yet to run into a law firm where sales training was mandatory. I'm sure they exist, but they must be rarely. And now I'm thinking, so I operate a marketing company. It makes us look better when our leads, the leads that we help generate, close or convert at double the rate than they would otherwise.
Right.
But we know because we help some of our clients spot the problems that they have, usually in intake, not the actual attorney prospect conversation, but the intake process, like missed phone calls or phone calls that you get a voicemail and then you return the call 24 hours later.
Yeah.
We're prompt. It's 24 hours. I'm like, no, they already talked to 3 of your competitors.
That's right. And they made a decision already.
You don't really need to call them back 24 hours later. This is a consumer. They're not stupid. They filled out. They went to 3 websites and they completed the form. And when you didn't answer the phone, they went to the 4th website and they completed another contact us form. And all of those law firms, or 2 out of those 3 or 4, called them back or talked to them in real time, and you're too late.
Right.
So I'm thinking that if you increase your conversion rate, if you double your conversion rate, your cost per client on the marketing side goes down 50%. Your marketing gets 50% cheaper per new client, per new case. It's just an instant improvement in that very, very substantial business metric.
Right. And I bring that up when I'm talking to law firms. You're spending X, but you're working twice as hard. You're talking to twice as many people that aren't hiring. Invest in the training that makes every client, every lead that comes in, makes that opportunity, it makes the opportunity have the ability to close faster and have more clients sooner versus not having the training and letting all those beautiful leads go somewhere else because they're not investing in that conversion training.
Yeah. Let's think about it as a full funnel. So I am as a marketer, you as a sales coach. So for every 10 leads that the law firm gets to a good channel, like search marketing, where people actually search. If you're okay at converting those 5 leads, you're going to get 25% of them, or 1.25.
Right.
Now, if you double your conversion rate from 25% to 50%, now you have 2.5. The marketing investment is the same.
Right.
Let's imagine that a law firm, any B2C law, whether it's estate planning, criminal defense, personal injury, let's say that every lawyer or every intake person that works with the lawyer gets 40 leads a month. Half of them are what we'll call junk. So it brings you down to 20 leads.
20.
And if your conversion rate on those 20 leads, and that's not how it usually works. Out of the remaining 20, you're still going to disqualify about 20, 30% of them.
Sure.
So it's not going to be like 20 highly qualified prospects. No, it's just 50% are just going in the junk pile right away. So then if you disqualify another 20, 30%, let's call it 25%. Now, out of the 20 remaining leads, you have like 15. And if you convert 25% out of 15, well, that's about 4.
Right.
But if you convert 50%, well, that's about 8.
Yes.
You can double your income, half of your marketing spend per case. And it's just so simple. And you said that you never have to completely break the intake process or the sales process. It's just making what you already have better.
And I'll give you an example. Phone rings, XYZ law firm. This is Mary. How can I help you? Here's I would say 95% of the time what I hear. So first of all, that intake call hasn't changed in 40 years. Sounds exactly the same.
Right.
Can I get your name? How did you hear about us? Right? Or something, can I get your phone number?
Self-serving question. How do
Totally
you
self-serving. You might as well say, hey, where'd you hear about us so we can see if our marketing is working? And right? I mean, that is right away you're saying you're not important, person, the person who's calling our firm, you're not important. And then can I get your phone number? Get this, in case we get disconnected. BS. I call BS on that. That is not, first of all, the word disconnected, we don't get disconnected anymore. It's a dropped call. So you're already looking old school by saying disconnected. How often does a call get disconnected or dropped? Rarely. I teach people how to get right to the root of the problem. Make that person feel like they made the best call of the day, that they have someone who is on the phone giving a crap about them. Really, really caring. So you bypass all that stuff that the intake team wants or the marketing team has to have. So many people are following such a strong, solid script that they don't make that caller feel as though they called the right place. Can I get this? Can I do this? Can I get your insurance number? It sounds like a window company, right? Or a base. I had my garage door broke a couple of years ago, and they used the same script as
Of
the
course.
engine script. And that's when I realized, oh my gosh. So a window company, a basement refinishing company, my garage door, they said the same thing. How'd you hear about us? Can I get your phone number in case we get disconnected? Oh, and your email address. So you're already saying to someone, I'm going to email you. I don't even know if you're going to be a good client, and I'm going to send some emails to you so we can keep marketing to you, versus saying, can I get your name or get your full name, your first and last name? That's all you need at that point. That's all you need in that moment to go into a conversation to make someone feel like they're being heard. You can get all that information later, and there's very specific times. Instead of saying to someone, how'd you hear about us? Like we did in 1995, there's other ways to ask that at different places that feel more natural after the conversation, after you've wowed and given them a five-star treatment.
Mm-hmm. So before we hit the record button, we talked about remarkable means worth a remark. And what you're saying now is that most businesses, regardless of industry, if it's a service business, we have a remarkably common approach to handling a potential client. A person who comes to us to potentially spend money with us, we treat them like everybody else treats them, making it completely not memorable,
Commodity.
not distinguishable, and hopefully they'll have a remarkable conversation, remarkable experience with the attorney when they speak with that attorney. But if they don't, and I, from time to time, actually consume legal services. In my business, we consume it regularly. Our attorney he does well with us. Growing business, always growing. But as a consumer, like whenever I talk with attorneys, and I go out of my way to talk to at least 3, 4, 5 attorneys, it is always remarkably the same, and I don't remember the name of their law firm. And if it's a phone conversation and not an online conversation, I don't know what they look like. And it is remarkably boring, same, indistinguishable.
Generic, vanilla.
Generic, and because most attorneys are good at what they do, you kind of almost can't help but gravitate toward the lower cost unless one of them actually gives you that remarkable experience.
Correct. And you're right. The business doesn't go to the best attorney. At that point, if you all look the same, sound the same, it goes to the lowest priced attorney. It just does. So you could be a good attorney for that client, but because you didn't do anything, you treated them like a garage door company and didn't wow them, they will find they'll just go to the lowest price because you didn't do anything that made them want to pay a higher price. And I tell attorneys, people will pay for and pay higher fees to the attorney who treats them totally different, who makes them go, this is not what I expected. Oh my gosh, she was really nice, or he was kind of funny, or that's what they're doing when they're hanging up a Zoom call or a phone call or a meeting. They're walking out going, that was totally different than I expected. If you do that to people, you decrease your marketing budget because of the way that you're communicating with people. But it has to be done by design, not by default. You can't just wing an intake or a consultation. It just can't do it.
That makes so much sense. So it is actually, if you do it by design, it should be remarkably easy to make a remarkably good experience for that prospective client. But because most people operate by default, by the way, as you were talking about that, can I get your name? Can I get your phone number in case we get disconnected? Jesus, we're guilty of that too. Like, this is what we do here. We're marketers. We're definitely not sales consultants, but that's exactly what my receptionist sounds like. This is exactly what she asks.
Wow. See?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
That's now it's remarkably obvious, pun intended. It's remarkably obvious how much we suck at having these conversations.
And it's just it's little shifts. I use the analogy, go in the eye doctor and he or she says, is this better? Or is this better? Is this clear? Or so when I'm working with a law firm, I don't impart my language. I get a sense and a feel of the firm. Are you very professional? How do you like to talk to clients? Is it a little more in the lighter way, or is it very structured? I learn about the firm, and then we build language around that and make it match so that you're congruent from the intake call to the consultation, to the person who's doing follow-up, to the whole process. Everybody sounds the same. There's a congruency in the language and how people are treated. And congruency will always win. When things are disjointed and it feels that way, it's not enough. So I scrutinize everything and get in there and just with a fine-tooth comb, everything gets cleaned up. And once they have it, they get to use it over and over and over and over again to convert more potential clients into paying clients.
Sure, that makes so much sense. And it's interesting you brought up an example of eye doctor. I recently have gone through a few eye doctors. My wife got me these like really cool eye glasses. These are my first readers. I'm getting up there in age. I'm okay disclosing it. But I went to few eye doctors because I didn't trust the first one. All of them had a remarkably same experience.
Ta-da! Yep.
Like after having visited 3 eye doctors, I can tell you that I give 0 preference to any one of them. So what is the probability that I will go to either one of them? It's about the same because I really don't care for a single one of them. By the way, I'm a customer. These things, nowadays, if you want like a fancy pair of glasses with lenses and whatnot, this is $900 purchase.
Right. Right.
So now that I'm 46, I will probably be coming back for more.
That's right. And
no one stood out. No one gave me an advantage. Like, come back here.
Yeah. And our whole conversation just landed on what you just said.
Yeah. This is weeks ago. So it's like very fresh.
It all sounds the same. It looks the same. It feels the same. Even though people aren't hiring attorneys every day or once a year, the feeling that they're getting, it's like, oh, this feels just like the place I went and had blood work last week, or the last time I called for a window or a landscaping company. It's a feeling, and the feeling tells their brain they're common, they're a commodity. I'm just going to shop for the low.
Totally replaceable. Absolutely replaceable. So creating that remarkable experience. And before you and I hit the record button, I told you about my hour and a half ago experience where I went to a coffee shop. I went to 3 of them. I'm here in sunny Isles, Florida. And I had remarkably bad experience in 2 coffee shops that, like, for the timing, because it was around 4 p.m., they couldn't make me a cup of coffee. And then the third one blew me away. And I already told them that I'm looking forward to bringing my wife and my baby here because we're here and she will love this place. So they created a remarkable experience in under 5 minutes, which led to a 5-star review. I rarely leave reviews. But this guy just blew. I knew his name at the end of the conversation. I knew his name. He knew mine. He knew a little bit about my family. I knew quite a bit about the business. 5 minutes. I came in 7 minutes before they closed the doors, and I came in and I asked, is it too late to get a cup of latte? He said, for you, never. And he just made me. It was a remarkably great experience. And the place was sparkling. It was so, like, the whole experience was outstanding. It's a freaking coffee shop. Like, how much is my customer lifetime value? I'm visiting. Well, we're gonna move here like shortly, but chances of me going there very often, not very high. If you're an attorney, if you practice criminal defense or estate planning, your average check is like $4,000 or $5,000.
Right.
If you're a divorce attorney, your average check is $15,000+. Why wouldn't you put like a little extra effort into it? And I think the answer to that question is why wouldn't you, is because you don't know until you listen to this podcast and you're like, oh, that makes sense, because Mr. or Mrs. Attorney, as you listen to this, like, if you think back in the last few months, you probably have had some remarkably positive experiences, but they're super rare.
Mhm.
That's why I left that 5-star review for the coffee shop. I almost never do, but it was remarkably good.
You couldn't help yourself.
I couldn't
Yeah.
help myself. I came out of the business and I was like, that was so good.
Yes.
5-6 minutes.
Yep.
5-6 minutes. And if you create with that intentionality and if create that congruency, I love that word. So congruency in this case is like from intake to the consult to
Yep.
the service, it all feels about the same.
It's
Like
the
your-
thread
It's the
running
thread,
through
right?
your
So
firm. Yeah.
your intake person, energy level, 9 on a scale of 1 to 10. Your energy level cannot be 3.
Right.
I will feel
don't
super fake.
And I don't care how bad your day is. You answer that
Yeah.
phone like that person is the only person on the planet and you are excited to talk to them. And not the icky, salesy excited, genuinely happy in your body to speak to someone who's calling your firm. You don't have to fake anything. If you really pick up that call and know someone on the other side needs somebody like you, is calling a firm like yours, probably Googled you or did some sort of a search and made a decision to call your firm, you have an opportunity to wow them and knock their socks off and blow their hair back right from the first few words. And if you sound like everyone else, you're going to be treated like everyone else. And that's the bottom line.
100%. So none of those eye doctors are probably going to get my business again because I am going to forget where I got them from.
That's right. Yeah.
That's what's probably going to happen. By the time I'm ready to update these lenses, chances are there will be no recollection where I went to get them because again, it was so remarkably
Memorable. Yeah.
same.
Yeah.
Same. Super interesting. So you train your clients, you train their intake team. So you audit their intake
Yes.
team, you do secret shopping on them.
Mhm.
Then you do secret shopping if possible, because sometimes you probably will work with a smaller client and they're the attorney that hires you. So you can't disguise your face. I assume you're not yet.
Well,
With AI,
we do a mock consultation.
You do a
So
mock consultation.
so I send them the information, who I am, what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
We do a Zoom call and I will scrutinize and then report back to them what they did well and where they need help.
Got it. So once you perform these audits,
Uh-huh.
then you go and you actually help them engineer a better process.
Correct.
How do
Start
you-
to finish.
How do you make sure that they actually do it?
I secret shop them throughout.
For
So
how long? Like what's your engagement term?
I like to stay with a firm for a year, sometimes longer. I have clients now that sometimes I'll just pick up the phone and I hide my phone number so they don't know it's me calling, and I will get that intake person on the phone and I'll kind of disguise my voice a little bit, and I am seeing, are they hitting all the bells and whistles for me? And I can't always secret shop an attorney, but I'll email them and say, hey, we need to schedule a 30-minute. Let's get in there and make sure you're still hitting the target. And oftentimes they all say, oh yeah, tune-up would be great, because we all fall back into bad
100%.
behaviors. So I never train and run. A lot of times I stay there. I am with them. Their engagement with me could be as much as a year. They're not paying for the whole year, but I like to tap in and say, hey, does anybody at your firm need a tune-up? I have a couple of appointments on my calendar. Is anybody falling behind or their numbers are slipping? Let me get back in there and make sure. And oftentimes someone will go, that's right, I forgot about that. I totally skipped that part of it, or I'm not doing that as well as I used to, or handling objections. Oh,
Yeah.
I forgot. We talked about that. Because look, objections are going to come up. If you don't know how to truly handle one, not overcome it, handle it, then you just look like someone who's just got some snappy line to bat that away. So a lot of times they just need a little tune-up, just like the eye doctor. Is this better? Is this better? So I stay with them. I secret shop, and sometimes I'll get a call from the office manager, and just recently she said, we have an attorney our problem child is still struggling with X, Y, and Z. Can you hop on the phone with him? It lights me up that they're still using me because they really want to change. And that to me is joy. Some firms, they get it, they understand it, and they go kick some butt and they don't need me ever again. But I'm always tethered to all my clients because, I spend a good bit of time with them. I want to make sure that we have a relationship that's long lasting, that they can call me if they run into any interference.
Sure, and that's very smart. So you follow up with your past clients and you make sure that they stay current clients
Yes.
with you. Speaking of follow-up, as I mentioned earlier, so you get your 10, 40, 50, 60, 100 leads a month. Half of them are junk. Out of the remaining 50%, 20% will get disqualified. Leaves you with 30% really good leads. You hit your target. You now convert at a rate of 50%, 60%. But that other 50, 40%, some of them will go to competition invariably. It's almost never 100%.
Nope.
Some of them will go to competition, but more likely than not, some of them will choose not to choose. They will decide not to decide. They will put off that divorce. They will put off whatever action that they were looking to take because of something. Life gets in the way. They decide, like, I'll put that off. I know that you also, before we hit the record button, we talked about, you also train your clients how to follow up. Follow up is super important in sales, but it's also like if sales is a dreaded word, then follow up is like misery. I'd rather do my legal work.
The F word. I call it the F word.
The F word. How do you help your clients get over that? Like, busy, they're doing other things. This is way outside of comfort zone. I had to pitch them my service, and now you have to follow up.
Yeah. Well, in a couple of ways, some firms actually have a dedicated person who's staying connected to that person. It's not always the attorney who's doing the follow-up, depending on the size of the firm. But it doesn't matter who's doing the follow-up. I teach it the same way. I don't care who's doing it. Somebody has to. Somebody has to nurture someone who's in a decision-making process.
Yeah.
So if someone needs more time because of a situation, they can't pull the trigger because something's happening in their life. Maybe they're sick, or maybe something came up in their life and they do have to put this decision off. How are you, quote unquote, following up with someone without sounding like, hey, just checking in. Are you ready for that divorce yet, pal? Nobody wants that. That's what it feels like to them. Hi, knock, knock, just making sure you're still on that, you're still looking for that bankruptcy.
Yeah.
So I teach everyone at the end of a consultation, and I'm going to give this will be my big tip, is at the end of a consultation, if someone looks you in the eye and says, I'm just not ready, I need more time, or I don't have $10,000 right now, but I may be able to ask my parents or take a loan out, whatever that is. Somebody is actually looking you in the eye and you could tell they're not lying to you. You get the sense that I'm not quite there, but when I am ready, I would like to hire you. And they use very specific words when they're not lying to you. You know they're lying to you when they say, oh, thanks, or let me get back to you. I'll let you know. You could tell it's a head thing. So I say to teach the attorney, I almost this exact language. We're not the kind of firm who drops the ball on anyone who sat in your seat or has come in and talked to one of our attorneys. We don't drop the ball, and we're also not the type of firm that follows up with you every 3 days. Let's figure out what is the best way for us to stay connected. How would you like us to either be in touch with you, you in touch with us? What's the decision-making process that feels good to you? And I call it talking about follow-up before you do the follow-up. Mm-hmm. And showing that person that I care enough about you for me to invite you into the follow-up process. How do you like to be contacted? Do you want me to text you? Do you want our intake team to send you an email? What's the best way for you? Which automatically starts modeling the type of firm you are, how much you care, versus, okay, well, someone will follow up with you in a few days. We all know what that means, the generic follow-up. Yeah. Total generic messages. So I work a lot on that piece so that the follow-up messages, you are not allowed to use follow-up, touching base, reaching out, or checking in. That is off limits. You can write an email without those 4 words, and that's what gets someone's attention, because you're already doing the active follow-up. Why do you have to announce it? Why do you have to say, I'm just following up? Sure. We're just checking in. You're already doing that. Get to the point.
Makes perfect sense. If you don't mind my asking, and yes, you can give me a range,
Okay.
What is a typical investment for a smaller law firm to retain your services for all of this?
For
Let's say
intake,
3, 4, 5 attorneys.
3, 4,
So
5.
the whole thing, like we're going to, let's imagine that I run a law firm and I have 4 attorneys, myself included. We do personal injury or criminal defense, whatever it may be. And we have a substantial investment into our marketing and we want to squeeze more juice out of it. So we're looking at it, we're like, yeah, our conversion is 20%, 25% on good leads. It's not terrible, but can we do better? Like, what would I invest into you auditing our intake, auditing our conversion process, and looking into our follow-up process, and then helping us re-engineer it to make it better.
So the whole package. So I don't do anything piecemeal. If someone
Yeah,
called me
you
and
have to
said,
do the whole thing.
"Hey, we need some help with
You're
follow-up,"
holistic.
exact. That's not me. I'll give you to someone else because it is that congruency. I want to make sure that congruency is there. So it is the auditing of the intake and secret shopping all the way to the attorneys and their consultation, training them, group setting, individual coaching. So it ranges. I'll give you a range just because
Sure.
there's other
50%,
things
of
that come
course.
up. So it could be anywhere between 35 and 55,000 for a full package with me forever. This isn't just I do it and run. Like I said, I'm in it. You got me for another year. So I was just talking to a firm the other day, and he said to me, "Oh, you mean you'll stick with us after it's over?" I said, "Absolutely. You can't get rid of me because I want to make sure at a 9-month mark, 10, 12-month mark that you are still doing what I taught you, that stuff is still being baked in. And as the world changes, sometimes the process has to change.
Sure.
So that's an add-on I don't charge for. So AI got involved. Now lots of things have to shift in that. So it's all baked into that process. And for me, it just long-term clients are great because it also becomes referrals. People say, "What the heck are you doing in your firm?" That's you're killing it. And they're not happy to refer. They're like, don't give them any tips unless they hire you, because they realize that if I get on a call like this and I start telling people exactly what to do, they're paying for it, and people on a podcast are not, and it's not fair. So I save the goodies and the nuances for that program.
Mm-hmm.
But everything included. There isn't anything that I skip or miss. And if we do find something that has to be embedded in there, we fix that as well because of congruency. Everyone has to be rowing in the same direction. Everyone and everybody has to be on board from the all the way to the managing partner and down.
Sure. So let's imagine that I am that law firm owner and I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to pay for it. So let's say that we generate 40 leads, out of which 20 are disqualified right away. Another 5 gets disqualified in the process. Now we have 15 leads remaining, and we're converting 25%, which is about for paying clients a month. It's a low number. Let's say this is just per attorney.
Sure.
So we're getting 4 new clients. Each client is case value $5,000. So it's about $20,000 worth of new business every single month. A low number. You come in and you say, we're going to work on doubling that through improving the process. And let's say that I have 4 attorneys and everyone gets the same number of leads. So now we're looking to over time, and I assume it takes a few months to tweak this and make sure that everyone follows the improved process. But over time, we're going to double the number of new clients without doubling our advertising and marketing spend. That's going to be the same. So we each are going to add about 4 new clients in addition to what we're used to lending. So at $5,000 average case value, we're going to add 20,000 per month times 4. That's 4 attorneys. So 4.
It's about $1 million.
So it's about $1 million. It's about $960,000 a year. So when you look at it that way, that $35,000 to $45,000, $55,000. So I'm thinking $45,000 average.
Yeah.
That will, once you get to those numbers, if you are getting about 4 new clients per month now, and your conversion rate is about 25%.
That's 1 a week. 1 client extra a week.
That's 1 client extra per week. That is correct. And so you should be, your return on investment on that 45,000 should be approximately year 1, approximately 20-fold.
easily.
Of what you have invested.
Yep.
It will take a few months to get there, but get
Yeah.
there you will.
But, but I'll push back on that, Sasha. Sometimes people say, oh my gosh, I went into my consultation. I felt so good after our role play the other day, and they hired me on the spot. And it can happen that a $20,000 client could land in the lap in like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So when an attorney or a law firm says we're losing about $500,000 a year, we know $500,000 is running to the competition. We're feeding their bottom line. We'd like some of that back. If they're not willing to invest $50,000 for ROI over and over and over again, then I don't want them to hire me. It's not worth it. I want the people who say, holy crap, where have you been my whole life? Yeah. Those are the people I want to work with. If they're struggling, and look, I don't need 50,000 up front. We work through that. It's a process too. But yeah. I almost guarantee my work. I would typically say I'll guarantee it 100%. But what I guarantee is I will show up 100% of the time. I never cancel. I don't reschedule. I give you my highest and best self. The attorney has to do the same thing. They have to be willing to learn and understand. Yeah. So I'll have firms say to me, well, what happens if we train them and they leave? And I'm like, what if you don't and they stay? What happens if they stay at your firm and they keep destroying the leads that are coming in? So they understand that, oh yeah, that doesn't make any sense. If they go leave, then that's a gift for them. But if they stay, you're making it worse. If you allow them to stay with low conversion rates, then say goodbye to $500,000 or more every year.
Yeah, I think also in those firms where you train, I assume if you ever get an attorney who is unwilling, then the managing partner would notice the difference within a few months and will realize just how expensive that attorney who's not coachable. Not all of us are coachable. Those who are not coachable, like how expensive all of a sudden they become.
Yes. Yeah.
Because their conversion rate is half of whatever it is that those who are actually trainable and they learn how to do better.
Yeah.
And again, it's just such an integral, like doing initial consults is just such an integral part of attorney's job.
Right. You have to do it. You have to be able to
Might
have
as well
somebody
do it
say
very
yes
well.
to you. Might as well do it well. And to think that is the area that keeps a practice in business. That is the area that feeds everything else. Why not take that piece that sounds like a small piece, but it's everything? Because if people don't say yes to you, it means they're saying yes to someone else. So if you like helping your competition drive around in a nicer car, have a better building, then go for it. You're literally helping your competition.
Yeah. Liz, to wrap this up, I'm imagining we have at least a few hundred people listen to each one of these episodes on Spotify. We have dozens of people watching this on YouTube. Some of them may be like, this is my problem. I'd really love to have this solved. What's the best way to reach out to you? And what are the 1, 2, or 3 best questions they should be asking you out of the gate?
They can email me at liz@lizwendling.com. They can go to my website at lizwendling.com. I have a lot of information for attorneys on there, but they should be asking themselves, when was the last time you took a look at your intake and your consultation process? When was the last time you really looked at it from the perspective of the client?
Yeah.
And how much is walking out the door every month when people say, thanks anyway, I'm going to think about it, I'm not sure. Now, again, they might not be thinking about it and they might need nurturing, but how much of that money is just walking out the door because you don't have a process to make them see you as their number one choice?
Yeah, it could be that $1 million in gross revenue.
Yes.
And I assume that if you operate your business fairly well, you have 50% gross profit. As in, like, you pay your attorneys about 50%, attorneys and support staff, you pay 50%. So the rest of it is gross profit. So it's about $500,000 in gross profit that walks out the door and goes to another shop, or another shop, or another shop, or decides not to decides not to buy from you now, but then they decide to buy from someone later, but they don't remember you anymore.
That's right.
It was not a remarkable experience. You did not follow up the right way, so it's gone.
That's right. I just thought of something though, Sasha. As a solo practice, so I do a lot of work with solo, like one intake person and one attorney. That's not $35,000. I have totally different fees for solo attorneys. I forgot to mention that. Yeah. But yeah, whether it's a one person, one attorney, or 5 or 10, the process is the same. Just the work involved gets a little different.
It's a lot more people. Like
Correct.
if you're working with a larger firm, it's just a lot more people to work with and to train and to audit. So it's just the scope grows. So if you're watching this or listening to this, or you may be reading about this on our website and you're thinking, that's still a lot of money and I'm not ready to have this conversation, I recommend Liz's book. And it's called Consultations That Convert. It is on Amazon. There's a lot of this material there that's covered. It's not the whole thing, but you're going to learn a lot more. And maybe you will sit with the idea that you need this, because I think that in professional services, we all need this, whether you're a plumber, electrician, an attorney, or oncologist. Conversion rate is important to your family's finances. It's just that simple.
Right.
If you're better, your family finances are better. If you're worse, your competitor's family's finances are better.
That's it.
That's all there is to it. And when you said, like, you should be asking yourself, when was the last time I looked holistically at my intake process? I think the answer for a majority of people who are watching this, listening to this, reading this is never.
Based on my secret shopping calls, it's never, because they have not shifted. They download a template from 30 years ago. I Googled this a couple of years ago, intake script for law firms.
Yeah.
And it's exactly the one I modeled. That's what everybody's using. But if you don't step back far enough and say, gosh, do I want to be talked to that way? And you don't look at it from does it represent me and my firm? Does it represent the way we want to be out there in the world? Then all it takes is just moving around some of the pieces so that you sound different and you pop up as the first choice because something shifted in that potential client to make them view you differently versus a commodity.
Yeah.
But it has to be done, like I said, by design, not by default. Everybody cannot use the same script. It's like, would everybody go to the same intake school and the same consultation school? It isn't enough today. It's not enough. There has to be something we're doing differently that wows the crap out of somebody.
Yeah. The one thing I do respectfully disagree with is it doesn't matter whether you downloaded the template 30 years ago or 3 months ago.
Yeah.
If it's a template, that by default means that you're going to deliver remarkably same experience as everybody else.
Nope.
You will not stand out. There will be no advantage to hiring you. There will be no bias toward hiring you. So it's just going to be all the same. And then you're going to, well, the prospective clients will probably default to the price.
Yep.
Or if they talk to you first, maybe you'll have that first advantage. But that's about it. Otherwise, they will have no preference for you.
That's right. And when I did a couple of focus groups before I started my Rainmaking program, and I talked to dozens and dozens of people who hired attorneys and didn't hire attorneys. And the information that they shared with me about the things attorneys did to them, they said one thing and did something different, or they promised this and then this happened, and they said they charged this, but then this, and that pisses people off.
Yeah.
And imagine being an attorney who comes right out of the gate and says, not right out of the gate, but when they're talking about money, here's how our firm operates. I want to go through with you the way that we charge, how we charge our clients, how we collect our money. This is the fee, and do it in such a way where the person doesn't feel like you're lying to them or just saying what you want to hear in that consultation. Being so firm in your words that the client understands this is how this firm works. They've been lied to, and this is not just in the legal world. This is everywhere where you're buying something.
100%.
Do I trust the words coming out of your mouth? And if you can't get people to trust those words because of the way you phrased the conversation, then they check you off. They just do. The brain of your prospect is checking you off, and they'll nod and they'll smile and they'll say thank you, but they're not going to buy you.
Yeah, makes so much sense. Liz, Thank you so much for sharing all of these insights. I
Thank you
think
for having me.
some people who are watching this or listening to this are already better off for having listened to it, even if they do not hire you or someone like you in an immediate future. You planted the seed that it can be significantly better. Their business can be significantly better without doing more heavy lifting.
You got it. That's it.
Super important.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time and everyone
you.
else.